Hi everyone, this is Female, and this is the first episode of Female Energy, which is a format designed to celebrate women in music. So if you're a woman, please come and write to me or message me or DM me if you're in music. I'd love to hear from you. And please watch these episodes because they're all about celebrating diversity and inclusion. Needless to say that this is very much for everyone, including the queer community and everyone really on the planet. So please, very importantly, it's very much designed to accommodate true allies as well. So if you're an actual ally who does things for the women in music and minorities, please reach out because I'm very keen to hear from you. Today, I am joined by my very, very good friend and an amazing artist who I admire quite a lot, if not the most, Nelly. We previously met at music school. She was wearing black. I was wearing black. I always wondered, is she in techno or not? And here we are today. I've invited her to come to the first episode of Female Energy because personally, I think the first episode is the most important. And then secondly, I think she has an amazing story that I'd love to share with you. So Nelly, tell us a little bit more about you as an artist. What's your background and what inspires you?
Well, I'm a techno DJ, mainly industrial. I play some acid, some hardstyle, throw in some deconstructed as well. And I'm also a producer and the founder of the Syndicate Music Collective, which is based in London.
Tell us more about this collective. What's the vision for the collective? How did that come about, and who are those artists?
Well, essentially, the original vision was to offer young and up-and-coming artists a platform to showcase their work and their talent. And I was actually joined early on by you, who shared my vision and my passion. And we did a lot of work together in the beginning. And what have we done? We threw some parties, didn't we?
We did.
Some talks, some parties. We have some exciting things planned as well. And we're going to make some tunes this year as well. Mm-hmm.
Exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Now, I know when I first met you, what I was really mesmerized by was your background as a musician and as a pianist. And I always thought this is probably the hardest instrument to learn. And I was curious to learn more about your transition from classical music and playing the piano to industrial techno, how that journey felt like for you, and what did you take from being a pianist into your journey in electronic music?
Well, I started very early. I think I was 3 or 4 years old when I started. I was playing concerts by the age of 5 already, I believe, and suffered burnout twice, very intense. I mean, all music is, but classical music in particular. And then when I finished my training at the age of 20, I decided that I'm leaving music because it's, well, very stressful, psychologically difficult, and especially at such a young age, having that kind of pressure to perform is probably not the best. Looking back on it, I wouldn't have done it any other way, because I don't think I would be the musician that I am today without that kind of schooling. But I probably wouldn't recommend anyone to do exactly the way that I did. But yeah, my transition, I think it happened in my late 20s. So I took a brief break from music, well, due to burnout. And I grew up surrounded by a lot of Germans, which is how I got in contact with techno, and techno from Berlin in particular. And yeah, I kind of just transitioned very naturally through, well, organically, I would say, through people. And then I entered the rave scene and also started making music, and here we are.
That's really fascinating, and I genuinely cannot wait for everyone else to hear. If you haven't been at Nelly's gigs or haven't heard her on their latest podcast, for Mass, wasn't it? But anyway, we'll talk about it later. So we touched on the collective, we touched on the fact that you have a lot of projects coming up, and given that this podcast is centered around celebrating women in music, I'd be really interested to see what's your vision around supporting women in the industry, and do you have anything planned to support that?
Well, first of all, I have to say that this initiative is incredible. Well done. I think as a woman in music, we have a very, very different experience from men, unfortunately. Although a lot of work has been done and continues to be done to promote equality and equal opportunities for everyone, I think it is still significantly more difficult. As a woman, you deal with, well, a lot of sexism. Well, as you know, a lot of female producers are accused of using ghost producers. Yeah, I think it's just, even though the landscape is improving, it's still tricky. So I think highlighting women in music and highlighting their work and what they've achieved is so important, and also create a sort of a culture to have the mentality to actually promote female artists more.
No, I love that. That's great. And actually, that's testament to the past few events you've done, because even the one that I was on, Ravenomics, that was mostly female artists anyway. And then we have some upcoming things that we can talk about later. That's also a strong female-led. You touched on some of the experiences or the adversities that women face in the music industry. Let's unpack that a little bit more and seeing, for you, what has your experience been as a woman in music, even back in classical music, so you know, streaming throughout your career, and what would you like to see change?
That's a great question, like, genuinely. I think if you compare classical to techno, what comes to mind first is that it's very male dominated. If you look at lineups locally, internationally, well, pretty much anywhere, it's mostly men. And that's actually one of the things that baffled me the most when early on in my career in techno, that it was just full of men. And don't get me wrong, all very, very talented artists, absolutely deserve to be where they are. But also there are a lot of very good female artists, and it was just saddening to see how the boys would always get a chance, but the girls wouldn't. And this is, I think we actually discussed this very early on when we were planning Ravenomics, that we wanted, well, first of all, to put artists on the lineup for their talent rather than connection. So a lot of the artists who played for us are also our personal friends, but first and foremost, very, very good artists. But we wanted to keep it as equal as possible, to not make it all female or all male. Essentially, everyone gets a chance if they're good. And I think that's, yeah, I think everyone should have.
Totally agree, because it's not about having an all male or all female lineup. It's all about equality and balance. So it's not about just being queer or not queer, or a female-led initiative or male-led. It's all about us having the equal opportunities to the same events, basically. I wanted to talk more about your visibility. So where can people see you, and what were some of the projects you've been involved in thus far?
Well, first and foremost, I will always be an underground artist. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I always try to avoid taking on commercial gigs, and I have turned those down in the past. To me, music has always been about the community and the culture attached to it. And I think that once music goes commercial, you very easily forget the reasons that you actually entered music. And personally, for me, one thing I really don't like about the music industry now that it has become a sort of popularity contest. And a lot of young DJs come to, well, you, me, our other friends who are DJs, and ask us, well, how do you get a gig? And I always say, do you want the long version or the short version? And both of them essentially lead up to connections, which is very sad. And I think a lot of young artists struggle because they entered the music industry without prior connections, without a network, and they actually don't know anyone. And in reality, it is more difficult for them to get gigs. So I think it's very important to be aware of the system and this dynamic, and whoever has some kind of influence like you should really keep that in mind and always offer someone an opportunity. I mean, essentially, you know this, with the Syndicate Collective, you can always come to us if you need help with anything. If you want an introduction, we will always be happy to do it. And yeah, I think we should pride ourselves on that.
Totally, and all of your socials will be shared. But just touching on the Syndicate Collective here, I think this is a really important platform. When I started, I had no idea who to talk to, what to do. At one point, I started to submit mixtapes to certain promoters, and basically what I was told was I don't have enough experience, or I don't have enough followers or Instagram.
I just have to say something about followers.
Tell me.
When did social media I get it, social media is important, but now it's literally like a competition of followers, and I genuinely don't like social media. It's so toxic.
It is.
You know when you look at a selfie for really, really long, you're like, it just keeps becoming like uglier, and then you have to like, oh, I don't know, you just start sort of focusing on the wrong things. And especially as a musician, obviously like visuals is important, how you present is important, your image, your identity as an artist is important, but you are a musician, you get what I mean?
Yes.
And I think it's kind of become this culture where appearance is everything rather than the music itself. I mean, we can see this with, like very commercial festivals, like gigs, where who was it? There was there was a post that was shared, I think, last week about the problem with the performance being the main thing and not the actual, music itself. I don't remember who said it. Basically, this guy was talking about how he was ashamed of being a DJ because now like the word DJ has become attached to like. It's become a bit of a spectacle. I mean, not going to name any names here, but very, very big events. Yeah. It's more a spectacle than an actual musical performance, you know what I mean? What instantly came to mind is the contrast between commercial and underground. And I mean, both of us are, I would say, underground artists. And then you have to ask yourself where does the line, where to draw the line? Yes. And also, are you more interested in, I mean, obviously you need money to be a musician, and it's expensive to be a musician. But then also, do you sell out in order to be able to continue to be a musician, or do you stay underground? And yeah, I don't know. I think that's more like a philosophical debate.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like also the underground scene is kind of more authentic, if you wish. I don't know, is that the right word?
I think it's also thank you. It is more authentic, and I totally agree with you, but I also think it can be more creative because you're not constrained by the commercial agreements of go with certain BPMs or play a classic, or can you throw in a whatever it is, the mainstream song of the year.
No, sorry.
That's what I was gonna say. No, that's what I was gonna say. I personally, I find it more creative because you can go to the depths of darkness as you wish, or you can be playful, or you can be both. Is what I strive to do, and I find myself most welcomed, and I identify myself more as an artist in the underground scene.
Yeah, it's kind of more like community driven as well, because you come to a rave and you know most people that are there, and new people are usually feel welcome. I hope they do at our raves.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always tend to like say hi to everyone who comes in, like ask for their names. Like I think at the last rave I did, and like these people were like, "Who are you? Why are you talking to me?" I was like, "Sorry." But what was I gonna say? No, I mean, I respect artists who choose the commercial route, but, you know, fair enough. Like, if that's what's important to you, of course, you should always focus on what's important to you. But I don't think it's something, like, it shouldn't be like a standard or a goal that everyone should strive towards. Because even now, like, I've spoken to friends who have dealt with managers, agents who are like, oh, like, I love you as an artist, I love your work, but we want someone with a bit more of a following. And yeah, to me, that's kind of, I get it. Like, if you think about it from a music business perspective, of course it makes sense. Like, absolutely. But should it be that way? You know? Because every artist was once at 0 followers. Doesn't mean they're bad, you know? Totally. But yeah. I mean, you have more followers than I do, so.
Honestly, I haven't even looked, but I haven't looked. I mean,
Thank you so much for inviting me, even though I have so few followers. Ignore me, sorry.
Shouldn't I haven't looked, but you know what? I think we all have a platform regardless of followers, because if you do something cool and then you network with people, eventually you will find your people and your community. And that's how I found my community. You know, at this time last year, I was kind of looking for my techno tribe, but the right kind of techno tribe. And then I found you, and then we built this community. And then you're right, going to your rave, first of all, as an artist playing at your rave, I felt amazing. So I felt really like I had complete creative agency and freedom. When I asked you, what can I play? You were like, whatever floats your boat, whatever you like, let yourself go. And actually, that was one of my best sets, because I had that. Oh, thank you. Because I had that agency and platform. And you know, whoever I speak to in the techno community, you're such a known person for being warm, for being welcoming, for building a community of people, no matter where the background, no matter their followers, no matter their gender identity or sexuality or whatever. You're just you're very open and supportive person, and really a true ally, which is why I'm so happy to have you here.
Yeah, no, honestly, I also wanted to say was with our events, inclusivity is so important. So prior to Revenomics, I actually had a friend of a friend who DM'd me, and he asked me if it's a queer-friendly event. And I was kind of so almost shocked to get that question, because why wouldn't it be? And then I met up with him, and he told me about some unpleasant experiences he had at raves in London in the past year, which genuinely shocked me, because it's just so, you know, like, it's so against everything that techno culture stands for and should be. And it's just heartbreaking that to know that someone had a bad experience or felt unwelcome at a rave. So yeah, I think it's so important to also like make it very clear that we won't tolerate any kind of antisocial behavior, harassment, just make everyone feel safe and enjoy themselves. Yeah, no, it was, I'm just thinking back on it, like I was genuinely shocked, like to even get that question. We never really spoke about it, but the fact that he did ask me made me think, because, you know, Techno London is pretty small, so directly you start thinking like, oh, who was it? But, you know, I don't know, have you ever felt that you had any negative experiences?
No, actually not in techno. No, in electronic music, yes. So, but not necessarily as a queer woman, more like as a woman. I mentioned just before when we were setting things up, I was in this club, I can't remember where, many years ago. I was looking to go to the bar, and then literally this guy rips my shirt off as I'm walking. I didn't really know what to do with myself. I mean, you can take it as a compliment, but also can you do that in your mind and not physically? But other than that, I'd say in techno, I haven't had that experience, which is why I cherish the space so much. And I think wherever I went, whether it be Fold, for example, a place we go to frequently, where I've had the best experiences, and it's very, very inclusive and welcomed, and loads of other pop-up or smaller promoters who are looking to build this queer community. I think it's really important not just to have a separate community to the rest, but to have that kind of a guaranteed safety. Although ideally you would want to have mixed events where everyone feels safe to be themselves, which is what you are all about.
Yeah, 100%. No, what I was going to say was, did you ever report the person who did that to you?
I don't think I did, no.
This is also something I actually want to highlight. It's so important to actually speak up when these things happen, because I think also as women we're kind of conditioned to, always be polite and agreeable and not speak up if something is wrong, not complain. And usually I think also our mentality, well, not ours in particular, but in general, a lot of women feel like they can't really say anything, and then it becomes normalized and it just keeps happening, and then nobody reacts, and then these things happen. So I think it's also very important to highlight the importance of speaking up when these things happen, and make someone who's in charge aware of what's happening so that it can be stopped, and that the people will be asked to leave. We actually had to it wasn't in relation to that in particular, but we had one event where someone was, I wasn't there personally, but members of my staff told me that there was a problem with someone, and the person was asked to leave. And he wasn't being cooperative either, so we just felt it was better for everyone's safety to ask them to leave nicely. And so we were very firm on that as well.
Good. I mean, totally so important to speak up. And you know what? Sometimes, because I was reflecting now, in the moment, I was so shocked. And I was like 21, which is even more important. You're so young. You're shocked about what happened. You should raise it somehow. But even if you don't feel comfortable, raise it later. And this is a lesson learned for me, that I never ended up making a big deal out of it. To your point around, women, shut up, they don't complain, because if they complain, they're mean and they don't get on the lineup, So it's just so important to speak up, whether you're in such a situation or, an artist looking to build a name, and then you find yourself challenged. Yeah. Have you ever had issues getting on a lineup because you're a woman?
Not directly related to that, but I have had friends who have told me that they had unpleasant encounters with promoters, and that they felt compelled to kind of make friends with the promoter, if that makes sense, in order to actually get booked. I think it's not only techno, it's probably you have it in any kind of genre, but I know it's a problem. And a lot of women also, especially young artists who enter the scene, they don't have the relevant experience to know how these things work and how to actually speak to promoters. And also kind of, you always have to trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is, but quite often you're dealing with people who have been in the industry for years. And unfortunately, young artists do tend to trust, I think, too easily, and they end up getting into trouble. and it's unfortunate. But yeah, I think socializing is sort of the primary way of getting gigs, and I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but I guess it helps. But I think also it's important for artists who have been around for a while to also kind of mentor and coach young artists who enter the scene and kind of explain how these things work. Yeah, I don't even know how that would be done, because again, you need to socialize in order to, well, and make friends. But it's a tricky one, actually, because there is a system. Nobody talks about it, but everyone knows about it. The after parties. Yeah. But yeah, do you have any experience related to this?
How did I get my first gig? Oh my god! I mean, formally or in. So my very first gig, which was not in techno, is when I was still a newbie practicing. It was actually my best friend who booked me. And she just trusted me. And then I was like, are you sure? Okay. But no, it ended up going really, really well. And actually her trust and support made me feel so much more confident and comfortable. And that's what got me thinking, well, actually, maybe I can take this from a hobby or a passion I've had since I was born to something more serious. And then I went to music school. And then in music school is when you start to learn more about the system, but still, you get in music school, and that was the best experience I've had, to be honest, and that's cool. You get to learn a little bit more about what's expected in the industry, but like you say, there's that system that if you don't experience it, you don't really know what it is. And I do think that more to the point around, DJs who made it, using their platform to educate and help younger artists to explain things and help them out. I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would have grabbed it with both hands, and I'd be like, oh my God, tell me what am I missing, what to do, what's the direction, so I can focus my energy. So yeah.
But I think also I think also it's so different for everyone, because I think anyone who's met me, I have no shame. Like, I have no problem just walking up to someone and just introducing myself, and I have done it and it has worked. A lot of times people are like, who are you? Why are you here? But yeah, that's one way of doing it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Also, like at 5 a.m. at a rave, like I just want to go home, just leave. No, but I think it must be like quite, I don't know, did you ever feel sort of like intimidated walking up to people and like just talking to them, like important people?
I would say, of course, at first I'd think to myself, how am I going to introduce myself? But my training, I've trained in psychology, and then I've worked in corporate, etc. So networking a really big part of my career in who I am, and I'm quite a bubbly person. So I kind of rely on that, and I go and introduce myself.
Okay, you're being really modest, Mel. Okay, like everyone who is watching, Mel is a social genius, so nobody can do what she can. Just so you know.
Let's make sure that gets put in, Josh. Yeah. Love you, Nelly. So, Nelly, what are your upcoming projects?
You mean our upcoming projects?
Yes, I do. Do you want to talk about our upcoming projects?
Yeah, we're throwing an acid rave on the 21st of September. Come through. We're going to play some acid. It's going to be sick. So both of us are playing, and then we haven't announced the lineup yet. I think end of next week. Yeah, we have some really cool up-and-coming young artists. Some of them you've never heard about before. And they're terrific.
They're amazing.
So, yeah. We'll attach a link. We'll put a link in the description below.
100%. Yeah. Again, another example of providing a platform for young artists. So the lineup is going to be sick. I'm literally dying for Friday so we can announce. All right, I think we're out. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nelly. You're a legend.
Thank you for having me.
wanna go psycho. say all kind of shit. Run when you see me, cause I got 2 clips, bitch.
The sound of the underground. The sound of the underground. Sound of the underground. The sound of the underground.
Thank you, Nelly, for an incredible set. I was dancing my socks off in the background. Everyone else was, I'm sure. It is amazing. Thank you so much for coming. And do you want to share with anyone your upcoming gigs, anything that they can see you on the next few weeks?
Yes, so I'm playing for Mass on the 25th, I believe, and I'm playing at MOT for 8x8 on the 31st. So come through.
Amazing.
And we also have our acid rave on the 21st of September.
We do.
Be there.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, everyone, go see Nelly. I'll be there. Bye.
We got